Namaste. Thank you for the invitation. Hope I am audible to all. Dear students, Sri Lakshmi for. I have been a faculty at Amrita School of Ayurveda for 5 years, and I've been a visiting consultant to many Ayurveda colleges, hospitals in Kerala like Punarava, Nagarjuna, like institutions. So it's always a pleasure for me to be with the family of Ayurveda. Yogasanas. Before that, I'll just give an intro to keep ourselves in the same page. So, sorry, there was a disturbance. Yeah. Today, especially in this present scenario, when we speak about yoga is known for its physical benefits for many years now. We know that yoga is extensively used for physical ailments, and asanas have become very popular throughout the world. So many celebrities are practicing asanas and selling it on platforms, online platforms, and become so popular. But in towards world, because of two reasons, again the mind gain a more importance than the physical aspect. One, as every one of us know, we are going through a tough time. Even the COVID is affected only a very small portion of the global community as a disease. Each and everyone, literally each and everyone in this globe is affected by the mental impact of COVID. We have an influence on it on our physical, social life, on our physical body, on our mental level, on our professional life, everywhere, everywhere we have impact. And another reason for the mind gain importance because of the recent incident of a suicide of a well-known celebrity in Bollywood. So we understood, even though a person have all the physical comfort in his life, how an imbalance in the mind can destroy everything in and around him. So mind is very important. So what is the aspect of mind in yoga? So before I start, I will just I'll explain what are the different aspects of yoga which will be known for most of the people in Ayurveda, because we have a larger community of students here. I'll just few minutes to explain that. Pardon for others who was already knowing this. So we have a familiar with different words in yoga. Ashtanga Yoga, Patanjali Yoga Sutra, Raja Yoga, Hatha Yoga, Asana, Pranayama, Dharana, Samadhi, Dhyana, many terms in yoga. What are the connection between these words? If you look into the word yoga, as everyone might be knowing, the meaning of yoga is union. It's well known for everyone now. Yoga means union. Union of what? Union of your inner self with the supreme self. That is the ultimate aim of yoga, is connect the divinity in you with the supreme divinity. And how you can do that? There are many methods, which is called as Jnana Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Karma Yoga, and Raja Yoga were the main four streams. What Bhakti Yoga says? Bhakti Yoga says, consider whatever happens in your life is prasada from the God, so that you don't attach with output, so that you can liberated, your soul can liberated. That is Bhakti Yoga. What Jnana Yoga says, Brahma Satyam Jagat Mithya. The only understand the real sense, say that whatever around you is Maya, whatever you possess is Maya, whatever you desire is Maya, so that again you don't get attached, so you can get liberation. Karma Yoga is even for a Nastika person, do your job without expecting the fruit of it, so you don't get attached, again you can get liberation. What is the problem with these three methods? Even though these are very proven methods, this has to be a lifestyle. It may be difficult you to be advocate and a karma yogi in a practical sense. We say when a person who do excellence in a field, we say he is a karma yogi, but in a true sense it is difficult. He get attached, he need fees. Or an engineer or a doctor, we need our consultation fees. We cannot say I am doing my duty, if you don't fee my fees I am fine with that. We have to earn our bread and butter at the end of the day. So, the role of Raja Yoga comes. Raja Yoga is a prescribed syllabus. You can do your normal life, but practice yoga for few hours in a day and attain liberation. And this Raja Yoga is the basic of the Patanjali Yoga Sutra. Patanjali is not father of yoga, is not invented yoga, but he is the one who first presented yoga in a systemic way. In his text known as Patanjali Yoga Sutra, have 4 chapters and 194 shlokas. In his book Patanjali Yoga Sutra, he explained 8 steps: Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayama, Pratyahara, Dharana and Samadhi to attain liberation for this yoga. But still there was a problem. He made that system for the person who already is enlightened, for already in the path of yoga. He didn't explain how to do yogasana. He didn't explain how to do a pranayama. Then later the sages understood this is not enough. Yoga should be for common person who cannot have that intellectual capacity to understand the mind and various aspects of Nirbija Samadhi and Sabija Samadhi. You might learn in your yoga that what is Nirbija Samadhi and other things. Then other yogis who came after him proposed Hatha Yoga, and if you read Hatha Yoga Pradipika, one of the basic tests in Hatha Yoga says that yoga is Raja Yoga, and this is a methodology to reach Raja Yoga where they explain various asanas, different type of pranayamas, different type of kriya to purify your body. So whatever you do Hatha Yoga, reach the state of Raja Yoga, climb each steps and reach Samadhi. This is the way the yoga is presented. So whatever we discuss is based on these things. So, if you look to again the steps in Raja Yoga, it is Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayama, Pratyahara, Dharana, Dhyana and Samadhi. There we are going to travel now towards. What are Yamas? I am not explaining what are Yamas. Yamas are basically the social context, which says how you should behave in the society. Then Niyamas, your individual context, how you should behave to yourself. Keep clean, be happy. So that is Niyama. Then comes asanas. How the asanas are explained? Sthiram Sukham Asanam. Patanjali didn't explain different type of 1000 type of asanas which you can see everywhere. For him, asanas was simply if you are able to reach a state of stability and comfort, that is asana. Why it should be? Because that is must to practice pranayama. Pranayama is what? Pranayama is a methodology which makes your breathe rhythmic. Tasmin sadi swasa prashwasa yogirgati vichayade pranayamaha. So swasa prashwasa are unsteady breathing. So pranayama gati vichayade, which disconnect it from the unrhythmic manner and make it rhythmic. So what happens? The prana will flow freely in the body, which is very important to understand the therapeutic part of yoga. We use yoga as a therapy. You are learning yoga as a therapy. How it works? To understand that, you have to understand what is the philosophy of yoga therapy, how it works. That is connected to Taittiriya Upanishad, the Panchakoshas, which again start from the mind, prana and body, which says that when there is a unsteady flow of prana in the nadis, which will lead to physiological disturbances, which manifest as a psychosomatic disorder. That is known as IAYT, which is another topic, which I am not going to deep into that. So, it is very important make prana to flow rhythmically in the body. Why? When prana is rhythmically flowed, when if you come back to Hatha Yoga says, Chale Chittam Chale Vajam Nischalam Nischalam Bhaved. When the prana moves, the mind also moves, or when the mind moves, the prana also moves. So if you want to control one, you have to control another. If you want to control your prana, you should control your mind. So what is the problem with movement in the mind? The movement in the mind are known as thought process. What is the problem between thought? Thoughts are the uninvented memory programs. We are not asking for thoughts. When we do thoughts purposefully, it is either imagination or analysis. Thought process are the part of the subconscious mind, which comes and goes and we just get connected with it. When I speak this, some of you might be thinking, oh, like for those who are working, not maybe for a student may saying I didn't learn. If I didn't learn, what happens? What the in the exam I didn't read that. So if I fail in exam, what happens? So this kind of unwinded thought process comes, and our mind get into the loop. What is the problem with that? Our mind simply cannot understand the difference between the reality and imagination. That is the important aspect of our mind and our body. Even if there is a lion comes to you, or you think that a lion is coming, something like a hypnosis, body react in the same way. Even if you don't have money, or if you think that what if I don't have money, the body reacts in the same way, which elicits a stress response. In our modern life, this is the most important aspect. In our modern life, most of the problem which we face now are because of our stress, due to our thought process. We think about the problem and get stressed. But when get stressed, the physiological reaction is same. Our heartbeat goes up, our BP shoot up, our digestion get disturbed, which is end up in these known as psychosomatic disorders. So if you are able to control the prana, you will be able to control your senses. The external inputs cannot come, so that the mind become concentrated. So control of prana, control of sense organs are known as pratyahara. Pratyahara is the control of the senses. Once the external inputs are from the senses are not there, we can reach a state even your eyes are open, you are not seeing. You might have heard such stories in our Puranas. There are many stories of Karna and another Muni where even though he was physically present, if a snake fall in a body, he won't aware. So that is withdrawal of senses, pratyahara. When senses are withdrawn, you can reach a state of dharana. What is difference between dharana and dhyana? There is a very important difference there. Dharana is concentration, while dhyana is meditation. When I asked to many of my students and patients in my first class, what is meditation? They ask it is they say it is concentration. No, there is a mild difference, or there is a major difference between meditation and concentration. Meditation is thoughtless state of mind, but dharana or concentration is that your mind is fixed to one thought. That you can attain by different methodology in meditation, which we in dharana, which we usually call it as meditation like yoga nidra, DRT, cyclic meditation, PET, pranic energization technique, mind resonance meditation technique. There are different type of meditation techniques, which is basically dharana, which helps you to fix your mind to a single point, either to vigraha or to mantra or to nasagra or to bhrumatya. You can concentrate, but that is not meditation. Meditation is a thoughtless state of mind. So when there is no thoughts, that is meditation. And already I said what is the importance of a thoughtless state mind, because it helps you to reach a stressless mind, stressless physical body, because of the sympathetic and parasympathetic shift happens. That is the physiology part of it. So what happens in our body when you do meditation? What happens in the mind, I said. What happens in the body when you do meditation? Most of the people consider meditation as a tool to have a control the mind. That is very factual, but there is more deeper benefits of doing pranayama in your body also. What is the benefit of doing pranayama? Pranayama is a deep breathing, and the classical answer I used to get is pranayama help us to get more oxygen, which is actually false. When you pranayama, you are not getting more oxygen. We are not inhaling more oxygen when you do pranayama. How it happens? You might be confusing. Some of you might be thinking how it happens. It's easy to understand. You have to just apply our logic. As medical students, we know that when you usually breathe for 16 times in a minute. But when you do a deep breathing, we are inhaling only maximum 2 to 3 times. When you do pranayama, it may even comes to 2 times in a minute. So it is 2 versus 16. Our normal breathing is 16. When you do pranayama, it is coming to 2. When you do normal breathing, you may getting 500 liters of oxygen. But when you do a deep breathing, you may get 1,000. But it is 1,000 into 2 versus 500 into 16, which is the difference between 2,000 and 8,000. We are actually reducing the oxygen supply in the inhalation. But what happens with the body? It's a simple business rule. When the supply reduces, the demand increases. When we create a less oxygen supply to the body enhances its capacity to utilize oxygen. When there is a less supply, body make necessary physiological changes to utilize the available oxygen. When we create a stage of less oxygen, which is known as hypoxia, we are creating a physiological hypoxia in the body, which the benefit of physiological hypoxia is awarded with the Nobel Prize last year. When we create a physiological hypoxia in the body make many changes. This is the science of meditation. What happens? When there is physiological hypoxia, body consider it as a threat. It is a threat for the body for the survival. Body has to utilize the oxygen available to the maximum by taking the blood to maximum areas. By taking the blood to maximum cells, for that body has to generate more blood vessels. So body stimulate the vasculogenesis. When we create a physiological hypoxia in the body by practicing pranayama, we are stimulating the vascular genesis. More blood vessels will be generated in the body. And we can understand by looking what happens in our heart when there is a block. We know that natural bypass will be formed when there is a block. Same happens in the body when you create hypoxia in the body by practicing pranayama. New blood vessels formed. That is the one benefit. 2. The blood vessels will be dilated more because blood has to flow more freely. It is emergency. For that, body start producing nitric oxide. The blood vessels will be relaxed. It helps to reduce the blood pressure. Third benefit, because of the less oxygen in the body, it leads to less production of free radicals. The reactive oxygen species in the body comes down. So body don't have to utilize its vitamin resources to remove the free radicals, which helps our body to utilize the nutrition resource in a better way. Another beautiful benefit is this is something like a mock drill for the cell. When we create a physiological hypoxia, we are creating a mock drill. So body has to stimulate to prevent the cell damage by activating the guardian angel of the cell known as P52. The cellular repair will happen, which helps to reduce the cellular damage. See how a pranayama, when you do a simple Nadi Shuddhi pranayama, it is benefited. So it is very important to understand the benefit. Being a doctor, you are supposed to apply yoga in a therapeutic way. You should understand what happens when you do that. Makes a difference between a normal yoga practitioner and a doctor or a therapist in yoga. This is how. So now we can manipulate your breathing to get a physiological benefits of the yoga. And what is a key practice when you look into the yoga? The key practice in yoga is awareness. So before I explain awareness, let's do a practice. Is all the students ready to do a practice? I think everyone is at home, right? But we will do two simple yogasanas. So we will do these asanas in standing. So all of you can stand in the place you are sitting now, not in the bed or chair. Stand in the ground. Okay, take standing, and we are doing a yogasana which is known as side bending chakrasana, or it is also known as, there are a lot of people joining in between. Okay, so we are what we are going to do, side bending chakrasana. The method is, take your hand up to shoulder level, take it up, stretch up and go to a side. Okay, now come back, stretch up and bring it down. Repeat it the same to other side. Other hand up to shoulder level. Stretch up and go. Come back. Stretch. Bring it down. What happened? Did you felt anything? If you say you felt something, I know you are telling lie. You don't get any benefit by doing that, because what you did now is not a yogasana. You just stretch your body. How to make it as a yogasana? Now we will repeat it as a yogasana. Let's do it. Take standing. Comfortably you make a standing posture. Bring your awareness to your body. Hands hanging in the sides. Body weight equally distributed in your both foot. Now, with inhalation, slowly, with complete awareness in your left hand, slowly take your left hand up to shoulder level. Slowly take your hands up to shoulder. You should slowly move it. You should aware what happens. When it reaches your shoulder level, turn the hands up. Take it up. Slowly bring it close to your ears, stretch up, give a maximum stretch and go. Give a stretch to other side. And when you reach the final pose, do normal breathing, eyes closed, body weight equally distributed in both foot. Get your awareness to the muscles where it feels the stretch or pain. Maintain it for a while. Slowly come back and stretch your hand up again. Don't forget, stretch it up. Bring it up to shoulder level. When you bring it down, exhale. Observe the changes happens in the hand. Turn the palms down and slowly bring it down. Feel, observe the changes happens in your left side. Just observe everything happens in your left side and in your left hand. Let it come back to normal and repeat it to the same other side. Slowly bring your right hand up to shoulder level. Turn the palms up very slowly, very slowly. Move it up with inhalation. Bring it close to your ears. Stretch it up and go to other side. Give a maximum stretch and maintain. Eyes closed. Normal breathing. Distribute your body weight equal in both foot. Feel the stretch. If you feel pain somewhere in the body, observe that. Maintain it for a while. Come back. Stretch the hands up. Maintain the stretch and bring it down. Bring it up to shoulder level. Turn the palms down. And slowly bring it down. Now relax. Stretch the legs. You can relax the legs. Feel the changes happens in your hand and in your right side. Observe for a while. And now keep your legs together and slowly bend forward. Those who have any degenerative problems in the spine, don't do this. Others, without stretching your hands front up, you just bend forward. Slowly bend forward. Bend forward, something like you are weightless, your upper body is weightless. You don't have to stretch your body. Don't try to touch your forehead to knees. You just bend forward, hang your upper body freely. Your body should move in even a slight breeze. Maintain it for a while, observe the changes. Slowly come back. Feel the changes in the front muscle and in your back muscle. And now you can sit. You can sit. Can anyone who practiced now along with me can unmute yourself and say what happens when you practice a side bending chakrasana? I like to get a feedback. Can someone?
Muscles become stretched and the blood circulation slightly increases.
Why you felt that blood supply increases? You did some. You saw that?
I can feel some heat.
You can feel some. So when you did it rightly, I think what you might have felt is, one, you might have felt that hands become more heavy, a increased weight in your hand, then a pain in the muscle, then a heat or warmth in the hand, and when you bring it down, you might have felt that something is rushing your hand with a numbness. Am I right?
Yes, sir.
So what makes the difference there? When I did first, you did the same posture,
Yes, sir.
but when you did it slow and with awareness, that made the change and the magic. I'm getting some questions in between. I'll try to answer it in the last. Or you can send me as a voice clip into my number.
There will be a question and answer session.
Yeah, okay. So, this is the difference between awareness and a normal yoga. So, the key in the practice of yoga, not only for meditation or dharana or pranayama, even in asanas, you get the benefit when you practice it slow and with awareness. Yoga is not equal to gymnastics. Yoga is not a fight with your body. Yoga is simply being with your body. Yoga is simply just expanding the comfort zone, consciousness and awareness of your body. So, this is when you have to practice asanas. And from asanas, you should go to pranayama. Pranayama will help you to meditation. There is no shortcuts for meditation. Whatever available in the market in the name of meditation are actually not meditations. They are simply maximum it is dharana or concentration. You cannot buy a meditation or reach a meditative state by paying $100. If you do that, okay, that I'm not saying that they don't have any benefit. They surely come with many physiological benefit. They will help you to relax you, but don't get fooled believing that that is meditation. Meditation you cannot purchase. But while you practice pranayama, it involves 3 steps: inhalation, breath holding and exhalation, which is known as Puraga, Kumbhaga and Rejaga. Rejaga is exhalation, Puraga is inhalation, Kumbhaga is holding. And as I narrated earlier, this mind can be stopped only when prana is stopped. So, chale chittam, chale vajam, nischalam, nischalam bhaved. And the mind, the stoppage of mind is known as Kumbhaga, or prana is known as Kumbhaga, which helps to stoppage of mind, which is known as dhyana. But again, if you look into Hatha Yoga test, it says that practicing pranayama is something like practicing taming a wild animal, like a tiger or a lion. What happens if you go to train a wild animal? There is no story exists if you are not an expert, right? You will get killed. Same with pranayama. So, if you want to practice pranayama with Kumbhaga, you should be an expert in that. Practice with Kumbhaga is not meant for beginners. I have many patients which had got physical and psychological problems because of the wrong and more wrong practice of Kapalabhati and Kumbhaga. It will really derail you. because you are playing with your oxygen supply, especially to brain. You know what happens when there is a millifraction seconds of blockage in the oxygen supply to brain. So when you practice pranayama with Kumbhaka and Jalandhar Bandha, you are taking a risk if you are not an expert. So you should gradually reach that stage. For beginners, the best thing you can do is Nadi Shuddhi Pranayama. So we are going to practice now a Nadi Shuddhi Pranayama, a yogic method of pranayama breathing, followed by Nadi Shuddhi Pranayama, and try to train your body to reach a meditative state. So it will take some 10-15 minutes. Then we'll follow up with a quick question answer session. So what you are going to do is, you are going to sit comfortably in a chair. If you can sit comfortably in a chair in a ground cross leg for 10-15 minutes, then it is fine. Otherwise, sit in chair. You are going to be aware about different parts of your body on my instructions, starting from the toes. Then we are going to do abdominal breathing, that when you inhale, you should expand your abdomen. When you exhale, you should take your abdomen in. Then chest breathing, expand the chest when you inhale and relax the chest while you exhale. Shoulder breathing, take the shoulders up when you inhale and relax it while you exhale. So, after this, with instruction, we will be going for complete breathing. That in a breathing, you should use your abdomen, chest and shoulder. And while you exhale, you should relax your shoulder first, then the chest, finally then the abdomen. Then we will go for Nadi Shuddhi Pranayama. Nadi Shuddhi Pranayama is done. It's always otherwise known as Anuloma Viloma Pranayama. There is no difference between Nadi Shuddhi and Anuloma Viloma. It is called Nadi Shuddhi because of the benefit, and it is called Anuloma Viloma because of the methodology. Okay, with the Nasagra Mudra, we are going to practice it. This we use the thumb and ring finger. Thumb come in the right side, ring finger come in the left side. So, if you are a beginner, you can fold your finger and do it. But if you want to do further, enhanced practice, then advanced practice, you can use the finger to press your eyebrow center. If you press your eyebrow center, then you have to practice Kechari Mudra also along with that, by folding the tongue and touching the back of tongue to the upper side of your mouth. Fold the tongue and press. What happens when you do that? When you press the eyebrow center and when you press your palate, it helps you to vibrate the warmer bone, the small bone in the center of your nose, which helps the nose further and free flow of air, breath. So this is how our saints, our older munis explained, understood the deeper physiology of our body. Okay, then you start, close your right, exhale through left. After complete exhalation, inhale through left, close the left, open the right and exhale. Then inhale through right, close the right, open the left and exhale. This is Nadi Shuddhi. Inhale, exhale through left, then inhale through left, exhale through right, inhale through right and exhale through left. But while do this, I know most of you might knowing how to do Nadi Shuddhi Pranayama, but the difference what we make is, you should be slow, deep, complete, controlled, rhythmic, with awareness, and without any sound, force or pressure. It's not like this. It should be like this way. You should do very slow and rhythmically. Okay, you can do it. We'll start the practice, a very quick short session on this, so that after that I can address some of your questions. Okay, otherwise, okay, let's start. Sit comfortably. Now, for throughout the practice, keep your eyes closed. You may have a strong urge to open the eyes and see what happens. Believe me, nothing happens. Hello, can you hear me? Am I there? Okay. Okay. Sit comfortably. Back straight, eyes closed. Keep your eyes closed throughout the practice. Don't open your eyes. Your world is still when you control your breath. Nothing happens around you. Keep your eyes closed. That is why I explained all the procedure before itself. Eyes closed. Be comfortable. Be ready. Be relaxed. Be aware. Be calm and be focused. Let's start the session by chanting Omkara 3 times. Inhale deeply. Feel the vibration of Omkara in your body and be aware of your physical body. Be aware of each and every part of your body starting from the toes. Feel your toes, your foot. Be aware of your ankles, your calf muscles, your knees, your thighs. Feel your hip, your back, your spine and back muscles, your abdomen, your chest. Try to listen to your heartbeat for a while. Relax your shoulders. Be aware of your shoulders and your hands, your arms, elbows, forearm, wrist, palms and fingers. Be aware of your neck, your face and head, your chin, cheeks, ears, lips, teeth and tongue, nose, eyes, eyebrows, eyebrow center, forehead and head. Be aware of your whole body, which is nourished and energized with prana, and feel the presence of prana by observing your breath. Feel the touch of air to the tip of your nose. Feel the way the air goes in, filling your lungs and coming out. You may feel that a slightly cold air goes in and the warm air comes out. Be minutely aware. And with that awareness in your breath, make it more deep and complete by practicing abdominal breathing. Imagine that there is a balloon in your abdomen which expands when you inhale and which shrinks while you exhale. Maximum expansion and relaxation of your abdomen. When you inhale, expand your abdomen to maximum, but make sure that the breath is slow, deep, complete, controlled, rhythmic, with awareness, without any sound, force or pressure. Now, go to chest breathing. Expand the chest while you inhale and relax the chest while you exhale. You should feel the movement of the ribs and muscles which comes upward while you inhale and it goes down while you exhale. Make sure the breath is slow, deep, complete, controlled and rhythmic, with awareness, without any sound, force or pressure. Now go for shoulder breathing. Move your shoulders up while you inhale and move it down while you exhale. You should use your shoulders and collarbone. Let's use the upper part of the legs by practicing shoulder breathing. And with this, let's go for a complete breathing. On instruction, we'll practice it together. Use your abdomen, chest and shoulder while you inhale and relax the shoulder, then the chest, and finally take your abdomen in while you exhale. Breathe out, take the abdomen in. Let's practice together. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Hold. Exhale and hold outside. And then get ready for Nadi Shuddhi Pranayama. Use your right hand, thumb in the right side, ring finger in the left side. Close the right side, left open. If you can press the eyebrow center. But if you press the eyebrow center, practice Kechari Mudra also by folding the tongue. Keep the right closed, left open. Breathe out completely through left. Then inhale through left. Complete inhalation through left. After complete inhalation, close the left. Open the right and exhale through right. Complete exhalation through right. After complete exhalation, that is very important, inhale completely through right. After complete inhalation through right, you may close the right, open the left and exhale. So repeat this for a minimum of 6 rounds. The breathing should be slow, deep, complete, controlled and rhythmic, without any sound, force or pressure. Use your abdomen, chest and shoulder while you inhale and relax it while you exhale. But your awareness is the key. Don't let your mind go away from the process. Be with your breath. Thoughts may come and go. Don't follow it. Don't let it get control of your mind. You be with your breath. The breathing should be slow, deep, complete, controlled and rhythmic. You may feel to stop it, but don't do it. Expand your ability. Let your body feel the physiological hypoxia. If you feel to stop it, do one more round. There the benefit lies. Once you complete minimum of 6 rounds, you may stop it. But it's always better to do maximum round and expand your capacity. Don't open your eyes. Be with your breath. Be with your breath. And once completion of 6 round, bring your hands down. All of you may stop after completion of this round because we are going in a group. You may bring your hands down. Don't open your eyes. Don't let your mind go away. Observe the pattern of your breath. Feel how your body is breathing and try to get in the state of meditation by observing stillness. Avoid any movement in your body for a minute, including thoughts and breath. Let the breath become so slow and shallow without any effort. Don't let any thoughts creep in. You be with your breath. Be still for a minute. Lankhanam. In your thoughts, in your breath, and in your words for a minute. Slowly come back. Activate your senses. Feel the touch of air to your skin. Feel the saliva in your mouth. Feel the touch of air to your skin, the saliva in your mouth, various sounds comes to you, the minute sounds from your surroundings, the darkness around your eyes, and if you can get any smell, observe it and come back to senses by chanting Omkara followed by Shanti Mantra. Let's chant together. Inhale deeply. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Let the universe, your environment, and your inner self be in peace. Rub your palms together, generate warmth, and keep it on your eyes. Feel the warmth and look into the darkness. Look deep into the darkness. Look beyond darkness. And let's come to the light from darkness. Slowly move your hands away and you may open your eyes.